We have made it to chapter 3. We start talking about when people are exempt from reading the Shema. Now, one of the exemptions, of course, we already know. A groom is exempt from reading the Shema after his wedding day. But in chapter 3, the Mishnah continues with another one. Misha meto mutal lefanav patur mikriyat Shema mitzvilah u'minatfilin. The Mishnah explains that if a family member passes away, you, the mourner, is exempt from reading the Shema. Just like a groom, someone who's had a family member recently pass away is preoccupied with a commandment. Because burying the dead, the previous commandment that the mourner is involved with, is extremely complicated and takes a lot of thought. And so it makes sense that the mourner should be exempt from reading the Shema, the same way that a groom is exempt from reading a Shema because he has other things on his mind that he has to deal with. In fact, says the Mishnah, anybody who's involved with the commandment of burying the dead is exempt from reading the Shema. The pallbearers and their replacements, and the replacements of the replacements, those going before the coffin, those coming after the coffin, those that are needed for the coffin. In the following Mishnah, the commandment goes even further. This next Mishnah talks about the men at the funeral, not part of the funeral. At a Jewish funeral, it's customary that the men form two lines in order to surround the mourner coming back from the gravesite with greetings of condolences and things like that. The Mishnah talks about a man who is in that line, about to give condolences to a mourner when he realizes that it's time to say the Shema. According to the Mishnah, because he's preoccupied with the previous commandment, he's exempt from reading the Shema. So a pattern seems to be emerging here. In all these three examples of exemptions from the Shema, the groom, the mourner, the person about to say condolences to the mourner, all three of them are exempt from saying the Shema because they are preoccupied with the previous commandment. So why give all these examples? Why not just say, those who are preoccupied with the previous commandment don't have to say the Shema? That would cut down like a lot of Mishnah. It seems to me that these preoccupied commandments are not just any commandments, but commandments that involve people. I mean, to me, a people commandment is something that makes another person happy, or gives respect to that person. Consummating a marriage very obviously has to do with another person. Saying condolences to a mourner, again, very obviously has to do with another person. And burying the dead is considered the greatest commandment that you can do for another person, because that person cannot, in any way, shape, or form, pay you back. And in that case, you have to give examples. You can't really condense those three examples into one nice little phrase. Otherwise, you end up saying some ridiculous phrase like, you are exempt from reading the Shema if you're doing a people commandment. I should say that this idea of mine really goes in line with my personal philosophy of Judaism. A philosophy that says that God cares more about how you treat people than he does about how you treat him. Now that may seem like a strange idea, but bear with me. Think about Rosh Hashanah. On Rosh Hashanah, we crown God as King of the world. We tell him, you're great. We love you. Thank you for everything you've done. And then, we blow the shofar. In fact, we're commanded to hear the shofar. And what does the shofar do? It wakes us up and reminds us that we have to apologize for all the wrong things that we've done. Apologize to our friends, apologize to our family. It's almost as if God's saying, okay, enough about crowning me king of the world, now go do what you're supposed to do and apologize to your friends. And similarly, we are exempt from reading the Shema, a prayer that announces how much we love God so that we can concentrate on a people commandment. So yeah, that's my thought. And that's the Mishnah. And that's also my last video before Rosh Hashanah, because there's no way I'm making a video on Sunday. I mean, I didn't even make a video on Wednesday. I'm so busy preparing for Rosh Hashanah. So Shana Tovah to everyone and Shabbat Shalom. Have a happy holiday and a sweet new year.